Hello, everybody. This is episode 2 of Breaking Down Character Development in My Hero Academia. I was asked to do this guy, Kirishima, so we're going to break it down start to finish. And just a disclaimer, if you have not watched the show all the way through, there will be spoilers. So be warned. And with that warning, let's get to it. So starting off when he was just a little kid and he developed his quirk. He did not like his quirk. He couldn't control it and he was constantly injuring himself because of that. And he also thought his quirk was pathetic, dull, and unflashy. So moving on there to middle school, where he had already developed all these insecurities and ultimately depression, he also developed a sense of fear, which we can see in one instance where there was bullying happening and he was unable to move to help the student. He was frozen in fear. And then again, Mina and her friends were being harassed by a villain who turns out to be Gigamachia before all his upgrades. He was on the other side of the road and he again was unable to move because he was scared and had lots of fear of trying to step in. So because of all this is kind of when his depression took full account of his life. He locked himself in his room and he would watch on repeat interviews from his favorite hero, Crimson Riot. And one day, though, one interview came on and Crimson Riot admitted that he was terrified most of the time, but he would fight the fear to help those around him. This really resonated with Kirishima, and it actually changed his life, these words. So he started working out, he started using his quirk more to try and get a better handle on it. And then he dyed his hair red and spiked it, kind of inspired by Crimson Riot. Later on also, his hero costume and his hero name will be inspired by Crimson Riot. So moving on to UA, during the entrance exam, he will place second overall with equal points for fighting and hero points. And then also in the fitness test, Aizawa puts him through on the first day of school. He will place 8th, which is not bad considering all the other impressive quirks in that class. You can also tell when he is talking that his insecurities will come out, or he will try to hide his insecurities by trying to butch up what he's saying. So he will say things like manly or unmanly or other words kind of similar to that to try to hide the fact that he actually is a bit fearful or insecure about what's happening around him. Moving on to the USJ incident where him and Bakugo jump into battle against Kirigiri, which ultimately ended up separating them and a lot of their classmates throughout the facility. Kirishima will feel guilty about this, and he will ultimately want to leave where Bakugo and himself were to try and find the rest of his classmates and make sure that they are okay. Kirishima will also always usually put himself in the way of danger to protect those around him. So he does that a lot of the time during the USJ incident if you watch carefully. He will jump between Bakugo and villains, and also during the fight with Shigaraki and the Nomu, he will try to protect Deku and Shoto, Bakugo, all the students there. He will try to put himself in front of them. It can be very subtle, you just gotta really pay attention to those details. Moving on past that, we get to the sports festival. So during the sports festival, he already thinks his quirk is pathetic and unflashy. So he has the mindset that he has to really impress the scouts. So he has to really make a bang, which then he meets Tetsu, who has a similar quirk. And this actually irritates Kirishima quite a bit, which you can tell in a lot of their other kind of interactions throughout the series, which they do grow to be friends, but he always feels he has to compete with Tetsu to show how impressive his quirk is. So during the sports festival, he first meets Tetsu, and he is upset by the fact that he is not the only one who has this hardening quirk, so he thinks he has to work 10 times harder to make a good impression. So then they get paired together during the first round of battles, and they end up just knocking each other out. Both of them KO'd. So then they heal a bit with Recovery Girl, and they go out for a tiebreaker, which is an arm wrestle, and Kirishima ultimately beats him in the arm wrestle and even cracks his steel. So after that fight, he feels invincible. He's like, I beat a guy with same quirk as me, so the next one's gonna be easy peasy. It was not. He was paired with Bakugo, who is relentless, and he ultimately loses that fight, which he feels unworthy, basically. He feels he's defeated, and again, his quirk is pathetic. He couldn't even beat Bakugo. But then Bakugo goes to say that it was one of the toughest battles. He had to be on the defense quite a bit, and blow after blow, explosion after explosion, Kirishima did not let up, and he barely cracked Kirishima's hardening quirk. Basically, Kirishima lost because he got exhausted and couldn't hold his quirk anymore. That is ultimately how Kirishima lost that battle. I'm just saying. That is facts. So, we're going to break down some more here in part 2. Stay tuned. Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of breaking down Kirishima's character development. We finished off at the sports festival, so we are going to move on here to the training camp, where Bakugo gets kidnapped, and this is the part where you start to see Kirishima's insecurities and all that drop away, and he starts to become the hero he always wanted to be, where he becomes more fearless and just starts kicking ass, let's be honest. So he was the first one to say that he was going to do whatever it takes to get Bakugo back. So they all go, even though a lot of their classmates said it was a bad idea. You don't know how Bakugo's going to feel about being rescued and all this, but Kirishima was adamant on going to find his friend. So they go, and Kirishima is the one who can yell to Bakugo to come with them, and then All Might can finish his battle with All for One. And then Bakugo also notices that Kirishima feels a little guilty because the other classmates felt a bit upset that all of that happened, and Kirishima spent a lot of money to help get Bakugo back, so Bakugo ends up giving him the money back and telling him, "Thank you for coming to save me," which then really made Kirishima feel good because his actions were basically rewarded. Now, moving past that, Kirishima starts his hero internship with Fat Gum and Tamaki. They run into a villain who takes, I believe it's called Trigger. It's the drug that enhances quirks. Kirishima gets into a battle with him where he launches a whole bunch of blades from his entire body. It's absolutely terrifying to see. But Kirishima knows that there are civilians all around them. So this is when he creates his ultimate move, which is called Unbreakable. And none of these villains' blades can pierce him or get by him. So he just defeated the villain by basically hardening to the point where nothing could break through him. The villain also tried shooting him with the quirk deletion bullet, but that just bounced off his body like it was nothing. So Kirishima protected everybody around him and was able to defeat this villain actually quite easily. And then all the civilians around him started cheering for him and saying his name, his hero name. They were chanting Red Riot, and that really created an ego boost for Kirishima, knowing that he was able to basically do hero work and protect people, which is what he always wanted to do. One of the civilians will also say that his quirk was very impressive, which also makes Kirishima feel amazing. Because as I said in part 1, he always thought his quirk was pathetic, dull, and unflashy. So he is feeling great at this point. So then they go to save Eri, and Kirishima jumps in front of Fat Gum to buy time for him to activate his quirk. Kirishima takes blow after blow after blow from this villain who's also hiding behind a shield, to the point where Kirishima does end up cracking and breaking quite severely, but he did buy enough time for Fat Gum to activate his quirk and destroy the two villains. Okay, moving on yet again, we kind of come to when the final battles are starting to happen. Kirishima is kind of with the other students in the back. He does help Fat Gum at one point to shut down some of the emergency exits of the chateau that a lot of the villains were hiding out at. And then he's with the rest of his classmates and Class 1B. And then Gigamachia starts attacking. Now, Mina goes in first because she can get through Dobby's fire with her Acid Man attack. So she goes through and she goes to throw the sedative into Gigamachia's mouth. But she almost gets pummeled. But Kirishima, using his hardening cork, was able to run through the fire. He pushed her out of the way before getting smashed to the ground by Gigamachia. But he was able to kind of escape from that, and he ended up getting the sedative into Gigamachia's mouth. This is another instance where you can see he no longer has that fear. He fights that fear he had at the beginning, and he can just go into a fight without getting frozen with fear anymore. And then in the final battle, he tries to help Shinsu when he is attacked by the sludge villain, which he is unable to help. His quirk is not equipped to handle something that is sludge. So Mina comes in, and he does feel guilty he was unable to protect Shinsu. But then he does catch Mina before she hits the ground out of exhaustion, and he goes on to say that Mina didn't owe him anything and that she was always his hero. And then he graduates from UA and he becomes a pro hero. He does become, for a time, the sidekick to Fat Gum and Tamaki as well. And then he branches off and gets his own agency. He does rank number 12 on the hero list, I do believe. And he becomes known as the sturdy hero Red Riot. And he becomes the man he always wanted to be. And for a time being, he didn't think he could be that man. But he pushed through all his insecurities, his depression, and his fear, and became one of the top heroes in My Hero Academia. He is one of my favorites. He is amazing. Now stay tuned for episode 3, where I will do Katsuki Bakugo next. Stay tuned. Bye.